Hypervigilance, untenable situations and stress. On our quest to accomplish our goals, it's always a bumpy road. As you know, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be things that get in the way of your success, and being able to deal with those challenges and having the right mindset to do so is absolutely crucial. But stress happens, and it's a real thing. People find themselves in challenging situations, and it causes us immense stress. We feel like everything's out of our control. And that's a terrible situation to be in, but that's the reality of life. Stress happens. When we're exposed to chaos and unexpected change, could be abuse, challenging careers, difficult people. There's all sorts of different things, but it leads to this heightened sensitivity or jaded feelings and a sense of giving up on our goals. And that's the danger, right? That's the first thing we do is it feels all insurmountable. So we're like, you know what? I'm just going to give up. And that's the last thing you want to do. That's the last thing we're here to tell you to do. But survival mode's a reality, right? So we've got goals, but this stress hits and some of these uncontrollable things, and we go into survival mode where we just feel like we got to make it through the moment because the stress is so overwhelming. And by the way, stress isn't just here. It's a physiological response. And I think it's important for everybody to know that because that's one of the steps in dealing with stress is knowing, when you have those feelings, it's physiological. It's not your fault. You're not imagining it. It's a real thing. But once you go into survival mode, that means acting to survive or deal with things in the moment. That's when you tend to lose sight of those long-term goals. And that's what leads to that giving up. But emotional challenges, financial worries, employment uncertainties, those tend to dominate daily struggles. And again, when that takes over and the stress kicks in, those long-term goals are nothing but a dream. They're no longer an actual goal. They're a wish. We don't have a plan, right? So how do we deal with as well? We've got to build emotional resilience. Right? Emotional resilience is one of the keys to help us deal with that stress. So building a mental state that can absorb and deal with challenges properly, that recognizes and understands that we do have stress and sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but it's not something that has to shut us down. We don't have to live in survival mode. That's what emotional resilience is. It's learning to move past those feelings, those negative emotions, and rise above those difficulties. So emotional resilience is what we need to develop in order to better deal with these challenges and what feels like overwhelming stress. And that also involves managing our moods, right? Moods go up and down. They're fluid, no matter how we are. I, myself, tend to be an optimistic person. One of my personal values is relentless optimism. So that should mean I'm just positive and optimistic 100% of the time. Well, ask anybody in my life, that's not the case, right? It ebbs and flows, no matter how hard you try. But as it ebbs and flows, this can have negative impacts on your productivity. Right? And to accomplish goals, you've got to be productive. So you've got to infuse your mind with motivation, joy, gratitude, those type of things, which is going to counterbalance that negativity and help improve your mood. That's all a part of improving your mood and building that emotional resilience. But again, back to the reality behind it. Stress responses and the physical things we feel are real. Right? Emotions and moods are both influenced by chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, all those things that are happening in the brain. Right? A stressor comes in and it causes release of those different chemicals. Right? And in certain ways, some of those chemicals can do good things. But here we're talking about stress and when it becomes overwhelming and leads to chemical imbalances. And once we have those chemical imbalances, that emotional discipline becomes that much more challenging. And that can actually lead to long-term damage. Right? Long-term mental issues, problems, being stuck. And again, we need to avoid that if we want to accomplish our goals. But dopamine, serotonin, those other type of chemicals that I mentioned, they influence happiness, joy, satisfaction, sleep, stress responses, weight gain, health. They impact everything. So you can see why doing your best and the things that are in your control to manage those type of things, how that would be super beneficial. Because over release of any of those chemicals lead to negativity, right? They lead to addiction or heightened emotional states. And those are not things that are conducive to accomplishing goals. So we have to regulate those chemical releases. We have to build emotional resiliences. And part of it is being aware and recognizing these things happen. You've heard Serena mention before, reality and a reaction to it. Reality, stress is a reality. The response, the physical response is a reality. That's just happening. But we can control our reaction to that reality. It doesn't mean we don't feel it. It doesn't mean it goes away, but it means we're aware of it. And once we're aware, it involves a higher level of understanding of everything that's going on in regards to stress and that will help regulate the release of those chemicals, and that's going to help your well-being rather than hinder it. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, and I'm sure that you did, make sure you like it, share it, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel.